Good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. This is The Ambassador. With me, Ambassador Paul Madenge. This is where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Our very first story is a massive day for Kenyan football as the Harambee Stars prepare for one of their biggest matches in decades. For the first time in 38 years, Kenya has reached the knockout stage of a major continental tournament, and in the next 4 hours, they will be facing Madagascar in the African Nations Championships quarterfinals at Kasarani Stadium right here in Nairobi, with the nation rallying behind them and a place in the semi-finals on the line. All eyes are on the Benny McCarthy's men to deliver. Here are the details.
History beacons at Kasarani Stadium as Kenya's Harambee Stars face Madagascar in the CHAN quarter-finals, their first knockout appearance at a major continental tournament in 38 years. Head coach Benny McCarthy urges calm confidence and composure as the team looks to turn belief into glory on home soil.
Calmness is what we need. It's good that the occasion don't get to become too big for the players, so that we keep our feet on the ground and we stay humble. You know, we can do ourselves and our families proud again, but most of all, the nation.
McCarthy expressed belief in his side's readiness, insisting that Kenya has done its homework on their opponents and will be fully prepared for the decisive encounter.
Yeah, of course, we've done our homework on our opponents, so we know the strengths, and we also know where they may be not as strong. But I think the group stages we've been in, it's been a hard-fought group. There's almost been no rest for the team, because every team we had to face is probably equally as strong to win the CHAN tournament. So yeah, it's really been a tough time, and we kind of surpassed that, and now it's only going to get tougher. So I think it depends on how well we prepared and how mentally ready my team will be. And as long as we go onto the field knowing that we give 100% and we play to our full potential that everybody knows in the team that they have, then it's something positive can come from this, because I think after the test that we faced in our group stages, there's not really a team that we're kind of afraid of anymore, or that we think our chances are slim against the teams, because yeah, when you face DRC, Angola, Morocco and Zambia, it's a tough task, and you say to yourself, like, our chances is slim to none, but we proved ourselves and everybody else as well that we are well capable of surpassing this. So whoever comes next will be a really good challenge, and we just try and focus on ourselves, what we have to do, and yeah, that it will be good enough for us to maybe advance to the next stage.
Defender Daniel Sakari also expressed optimism, stating that Kenya is ready for the match.
We also know about their goalkeeper, just like the coach said. So we're going to do our best to beat them on their weaknesses.
Unbeaten in 4 matches, Kenya faces a stand test against a Madagascar side, but with the focus squad and the nation behind them, the Stars are ready for battle. Meanwhile, in other quarter-final matches, Tanzania hosts Morocco today, while Sudan faces Algeria and Uganda meets Senegal tomorrow. The road to the grand final on August 30th starts now, and for Kenya, a chance to make history just 90 minutes away. Elvis Muyodi, GBS News.
We wish the Harambee Stars our wishes, good wishes, as they meet today's match. Let's move on. Sudan has begun its long-awaited reconstruction efforts following nearly a year of brutal conflict that displaced millions and devastated key infrastructure. With stability slowly returning to parts of the country, authorities estimate that over 2 million displaced citizens could return in the coming months, marking a critical step toward recovery and national rebuilding. Let's have a look.
Sudan is beginning a reconstruction effort after nearly a year of armed conflict between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces. The war, which began in April 2023, displaced millions and severely damaged infrastructure in Khartoum and other urban centers. Basic services such as electricity, water and healthcare were disrupted, and many residents fled to neighboring countries or rural areas for safety. Today, local authorities and volunteer groups have started clearing debris and repairing essential services in part of Khartoum.
Regarding the destruction, we have 4 areas that we are looking to repair: destroyed service buildings such as hospitals and treatment centers, the restoration of the energy sector such as water and electricity, and rebuilding destroyed educational centers like schools and government universities.
Officials estimate that up to 2 million people displaced could return by end of the year, depending on security and progress in reconstruction. International organizations have pledged support, but funding remains a challenge. The government has prioritized key infrastructure to stabilize daily life and encourage resettlement, marking a cautious but important step towards recovery. GBS News.
A humanitarian convoy in Sudan has come under attack once again, highlighting the danger faced by aid workers. A United Nations food convoy was struck by a drone in North Darfur, destroying several trucks and deepening fears over the country's worsening humanitarian crisis, as Susan Nganga now reports.
A drone attack occurred on August 20th, targeting a humanitarian convoy near Al-Melid in North Darfur State, Sudan. The convoy, operated by United Nations World Food Programme, consisted of 16 trucks carrying life-saving food assistance for vulnerable families. During the attack, 3 trucks were destroyed after catching fire. Fortunately, all convoy personnel were reported safe and accounted for. Luca Renda, the acting UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Sudan, condemned the attack in the strongest terms and called for an immediate and independent investigation to hold accountable those responsible.
And I have a humanitarian update on Sudan. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is gravely concerned by yet another attack on a humanitarian convoy, this time near Al-Melid in North Darfur State, which happened on August 20th. The convoy operated by the World Food Programme consisted of 16 trucks carrying life-saving food assistance for vulnerable families. These trucks were destroyed after catching fire during the drone attack. Fortunately, all convoy personnel are safe and accounted for. In a statement issued a short while ago, the acting resident and humanitarian coordinator in Sudan, Luca Renda, condemned the attack in the strongest terms and called for an immediate and independent investigation into the incident for parties found responsible to be held to account. OCHA stressed once again that international humanitarian law must be respected, and the safety and protection of humanitarian personnel and supplies must be ensured. Humanitarian workers must be allowed to carry out their work without fear, obstruction, or violence.
The attack is part of a disturbing pattern following another attack less than 3 months earlier on a World Food Programme and UNICEF convoy in Al-Khoma, North Darfur, which resulted in 5 deaths and several injuries.
This latest attack comes less than 3 months after another attack on a WFP and UNICEF humanitarian convoy in Al-Khoma, North Darfur State, in early June. That convoy was awaiting clearance to proceed to the state capital El Fasher. 5 members of the convoy were killed and several more people were injured.
The conflict in Sudan, which began in April 2023 between the army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, has led to tens of thousands of deaths and displacement of millions. These repeated attacks are exacerbating the humanitarian crisis, with nearly 25 million people in Sudan facing acute hunger. Food insecurity is deepening, with significant price hikes for major food items reported. The UN and partners continue to provide aid where possible, but insecurity, logistical challenges, and underfunding hinder the scale-up of humanitarian assistance. Susan Nganga, GBS News, Sudan.
With that story from Susan Nganga, the ambassador will take a short break. We'll be right back with more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics.
Confidence and body image. Confidence and body image is what we'll be talking about today. So I've always been told I'm too short to model. Does height really matter, or is confidence enough?
No, height. In the world we are in today, height does not matter.
It doesn't.
When it comes to modeling. Actually, leave alone height, even body size doesn't
Even
matter.
body size.
Yes. Modeling is it's an open space to express yourself. You know, modeling is visual representation of a brand of who you are. So it's about you showing up and showing your authentic self.
Right.
In the industry, I have experienced, met very short people, men and ladies, and they do amazing. They're really good. It's all about, I think, believing in yourself, that confidence, you know, and knowing you can do it and you need to do it.
Walk an imaginary runway across the room, but do it like you're wearing 10-inch heels and atuna heel. So yeah, pretend do it like you're wearing a 10-inch heel. Haibo. Tuende kazi. Haya, makofi kwake.
Hello kids, and welcome to Kids Mind, where we learn, we laugh, and we explore. Today we are going to be reading about what? Yes, Bible story. Are you ready to listen to our today's Bible story? Are you ready to listen? Hands on ears. Are you ready to listen? 1 Samuel chapter 17 talks about the story of David and Goliath. Have you ever heard of the story of David and Goliath before? Follow us at GPS TV Africa. Also, you can SMS us on our SMS line 21144.
Our riddle for the day, guys. I am easy to lift but hard to throw. What am I?
I've been a sculptor for many years now. It's about 44 years since I started doing as professional state artist.
For 44 years, that's almost half a century. But now, where did it start? Before the 44 years, where did it start?
For me, I use art to document culture, and speak more about human life and activities through art, because I regard art as visual literature.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to The Ambassador as we break down the development news for you and get the bigger picture on what's happening globally. And now moving on, at the TICAD Summit in Yokohama, Japan, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa today urged Japan and other partners to base their engagement with Africa and investments in large aid, calling for collaborations in infrastructure, energy, innovation, and youth empowerment as Africa positions itself as a strategic global partners. Here are the details.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, during his speech in Yokohama, Japan, said Africa must not simply react to global shifts, but help shape them. He highlighted South Africa's strides in stabilizing energy, modernizing infrastructure, and reindustrializing with focus on green energy and localization. He also acknowledged the major role of the African Continental Free Trade Area in harmonizing trade and building value chains in sectors like automotive, agro-processing, and textiles.
But the friendship between South Africa and Japan, in my view, is an enduring one. So South Africa is ready to partner with Japan in achieving a number of feats, if I may call them that. Durable, innovation-driven achievements to develop and to advance the African economic development process. And I encourage Japanese businesses to work together to seize the abundant opportunities that South Africa has to offer. And so saying also that Africa has to offer.
While addressing the TICAD forum, Ramaphosa underscored the continent's emerging investor-ready profile that says Africa will soon offer a consumer market worth trillions, powered by infrastructure upturned in ports, energy, and transport. He invited Japanese firms to invest in strategic value chains, underscoring Africa's growing relevance.
That Japanese trading houses that have been in existence for more than 100 years, and how they continue to display a really good and positive attitude towards our country, and see opportunities and want to invest in more and more. I also took the trouble to invite those that we met and want to do so now here, to invite you all to the investment conference that we're going to have next year in March, which Minister Pakstow will be leading our country in. And we want to invite many companies to come, and many of those, if not all of those that we met today and yesterday, have said they will participate. And we invited them to come and exploit the opportunities that are there to be found in South Africa and collaborating with other South African companies.
Ramaphosa called for deeper tariff cooperation to improve market access for African goods, warning against overdependence on traditional markets and advocating for strategic diversification. He said that partnerships should involve co-creation and mutual industrialization, rather than traditional aid dependency. Molin Rono for GBS News.
Moving on, members of the Rastafarian Church mark 133 years since the birth of Haile Selassie I at the Kenyan National Theatre in Nairobi, Kenya. At a recent opening of the newest Rastafari place of worship just outside Kenya's capital, some of the faithful gathered to sing rhythmic songs, read scriptures, and exchange teachings on the appropriate way to live. The rare event opening a tabernacle made of wooden poles and roofed with iron sheets highlighted the community's growing numbers in the country where until recently Rastafari was not considered a legitimate religion.
Members of the Rastafarian community played drums as others chanted and sang during a celebration to mark 133 years since the birth of Haile Selassie I at the Kenya National Theatre in Nairobi, Kenya.
Most people never saw Rastafari as a good thing, as a spiritual thing. Yes, so we faced a lot of trials and tribulations back then from family members, the government, the police, all around. Actually, even being discriminated, not being employed, lack of jobs, and all that.
As for me, I grew up in the Christian foundation, which led me to so much questioning of the faith, because it was making the white man, which is the colonial master that colonized my forefathers. So growing up, for me, in that religion was so difficult for me, because religion, as I can say, brought division to we the black people.
Across the world, the faithful are known as Rastafarians, members of the movement launched in 1930 with the coronation in Ethiopia of Rastafari Mekonnen as Emperor Haile Selassie I. Rastafarians believe Selassie was the final incarnation of biblical Jesus, and during his reign, many Rastafarians made a pilgrimage to the Horn of African nation. For Rastafarians, Ethiopia was a symbol of pride for its unbroken resistance to the colonizers, and Selassie was Jah, the deity.
Rastafari. Rastafari is still a religion per se. It's not a religion per se. It's a way of life. It's a spiritual way of life. Because according to the elaboration of Haile Selassie, what is religion? He said religion religion are rules, regulations, which were set to guide people so as they can grow up to spirituality. So religion was not an end at itself. It was meant to help I to grow to the spiritual level. That's why I Rastafari are spiritual people. That's why we connect with nature, we connect with animals, we connect with every living thing, every living being, we connect, because Rastafari is all about spiritual world.
Haile Selassie was removed in power in a 1974 coup by a military junta. He died a year later, but the movement inspired by his rise to power in Ethiopia survives in countries ranging from the United States to Ghana.
We have a lot of people who are ready, especially the young generation. They are coming up with that fire, like they love the way Rasta people carry themselves, how Rastafari live, like our diet, you see, like our art, our skills.
It is unclear on how many people identify as Rastafari in Kenya, a country dominated by Christians and Muslims.
Rastafari.
At least 30 Rastafarians came to a Rastafarian tabernacle opening in Ruai, some 25 kilometers from the Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Davis Karani for GBS News, Nairobi.
Moving on, Northeast Syria efforts to implement the 10-March agreement between the interim security forces and the mostly Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces continue. Just this month, there have been spikes in violence between the two militaries in the Aleppo governorate, while attempts to convene the two sides outside of the country have been unsuccessful. Mr. Patterson welcomed reports of contacts between officials. Despite these security incidents, Mr. Patterson stressed that the situation has been relatively calm this month, applauding the efforts of those who have worked to tame down hostilities.
It is essential that the committee's findings are made fully public and that all perpetrators, regardless of affiliation, are held responsible. These events underscore the urgent need for the interim authority security forces to demonstrate that they are acting solely to protect all Syrians and do not constitute a threat. Moreover, leaders on all sides must take a responsibility to counter divisive narratives and promote a shared vision that reflects the rights and security of all communities in Syria. The recent report of the UN Commission on Inquiry documents ongoing violations in coastal and western central Syria throughout the first months of 2025. The interim authorities have publicly acknowledged this report. Its conclusions underline the urgent need for transitional justice measures. Progress cannot be delayed. The separate report submitted last month to President Shara by the Syrian Committee for Investigating and Fact-Finding must be published. Justice for victims and accountability for all perpetrators, regardless of affiliation, are binding obligations under international laws and standards and under the Constitutional Declaration. Mr. President, if future violence and violations are to be avoided, a serious program on security sector reform and on disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration is clearly needed, as also called for in the UN Commission of Inquiry report. Mr. President, let me join you and the Security Council in underlining the importance of countering all forms of terrorism in Syria and expressing grave concern over the acute threat posed by foreign terrorist fighters at large in Syria. The Syrian authorities have made commitments and taken actions to counter ISIL and Al-Qaeda, and it is vital that they take the decisive measures to address the threat posed by foreign.
That's all for today. With me, your Ambassador Paul Madenge on the Ambassador 1 p.m. Follow all of our stories at GBS TV Africa. It's updated throughout the day. We meet every Thursday and Friday as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Thank you for your time and company.